So we have you here today for the Love of Health web show. Thanks for joining us, Monica. And you are based out in Hawaii, is that correct?
Yeah, I am.
Awesome. And you are the owner of Finding Fertility.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to take this opportunity to ask you a few questions. This is our space to just talk about what's going on in our businesses right now, because we know that in a year or so things might change. And so there's nothing like that current present moment that we're in and how we are, overcoming things, what kind of things are coming up for us. And it's just an opportunity to share things all about our businesses.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So Finding Fertility, how long have you been running that program, that platform?
Probably close to 3 years now. I started actually health coaching. Well, I got qualified back in 2015, but ended up finally having two babies of my own. So got put on the back burner. And when my second son was about a year, I started taking it a little bit more seriously.
And I love your energy. You are so vibrant and so you respond to my emails, and there was just a certain excitability about how you were interacting with me. So I really appreciate that. It really means a lot to me. Do you do like podcasts regularly or things like this?
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite things to do. So I started my own podcast 3 years ago. And I found that I actually really loved it, even though I was so nervous and had no experience. I had maybe been on a few other people's podcasts before. And then I found that when I actually talked to people, I was like, this is just like hanging out with cool friends that you really can't. And so the last year, I've just been on a mission to just connect with people. I just want to talk to like-minded people who get what I'm trying to do, have the same pitfalls. And it's just so nice because when you are an entrepreneur, you work from home, it kind of gets a little bit lonely. So I think podcasting is just an amazing outlet for us.
Yeah, that's a really good point that, community, who we surround ourselves with and what energetically is happening as we're on this entrepreneurial journey. Definitely you're not alone with that, those sensations of feeling a little bit like this, oh, this is a little bit lonely, or a lone wolf situation. Who else can I talk to? Who else can relate with me? But then also it's productive because then you have amazing content that you can then share and help other people also hear stories.
Yeah, exactly. It's all serving, right? So at first it's kind of like, well, am I being selfish? Or maybe I shouldn't be doing that much. Maybe I should be doing something else. And I'm like, when it comes from joy and love, it's just gonna ooze out into the world. And yeah, it's I think it's just so important for your own growth journey in business.
So what is the name of your podcast? And, is it on the platforms? What is the general audience like?
Yeah, it's finding fertility. I'm literally finding fertility everywhere. And it really started off about heavily focusing. I'm a qualified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, so really heavily gut focus and diet and things like that. But as I've evolved in my own business, it's become really a lot more spiritual as well, a little bit woo woo. So it really just covers all aspects of becoming a conscious mother, right? I kind of got into this business of oh, I just want to get people pregnant, but now it's no, I actually really want to help women really rise to their top of their potential, and the cherry on top is becoming a mom.
Love that. And yeah, I mean, motherhood can be so many different things. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really awesome, a specific way to gauge people about what you think motherhood is, and that people seem to be resonating with what it is that you're saying, and that's awesome. And are you also talking on social media? Are you how are you beating the drum for Finding Fertility?
Yeah, so I'm going through a massive shift right now. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but Instagram is just a completely different platform than when I started 3 years ago. And I do kind of feel some of the old like residue of having to be perfect and you have to play the game and all that. And I just don't connect with it. So I'm really trying to tap into like, well, where do I connect? And like I said, podcasting has been such a liberation for me. And I've really shifted into TikTok because you can actually communicate directly to your community by like making videos directly from their questions. So that's really where I'm hanging out now. And I just directly answer people's questions. And obviously, everyone else benefits from it because it gets pushed out to, you know, your community and the FYP page. Where on Instagram, like if someone asks you a question, you answer it in that comment. And let's just face it, that post is dead within like 48 hours. So no one's really going to see it. So yeah, TikTok is kind of like my place. I love hanging out. And then just really focusing on SEO. And I've hired an amazing Pinterest manager, and she does her thing over there. And so if you're on Pinterest, you'll probably see my TikToks. I think that's how it's working right now.
Cool. And you know what? I didn't know that about TikTok. So it makes sense why Instagram for creator accounts a few months ago started letting you respond to comments with a reels, like a short video. And
Oh,
so the
have
person,
they?
yeah, there's a new
Ah,
only for creator accounts, but you know
oh,
how it is. Features of one platform is to compete with features of a different platform. That's why Facebook is now doing reels at all too. It's like they're trying
yeah.
some of the attention away from TikTok. So really cool that that's been like an ongoing feature that has benefited you as a coach or a consultant. So really cool. Do you
Yeah.
consider yourself a coach, or are you more of a consultation practice?
No, I'm a coach. Yeah, I'm definitely a coach. It's I always say like my one-to-one clients, because I do have a group coaching program as well, but my one-to-one clients come to me really highly educated. Like sometimes I'm like, girl, you know more than I know. Um but they are so like, you know, in their bubble, right? And they just need someone to have that extra pair of eyes and see where the missing pieces are, or just really coach them that it's time. Like it's time that you need to heal, right? Like when you take a holistic functional approach, it's not like a pill, you're not, or an IVF round, right? You're going to see your results in about 30 to 40 days. Like it's just not that way. So it's just like giving them the confidence that they're doing the right things
Yeah,
and
and like,
calling them out on their BS, which I think coaches need to do. They need to be honest to their clients.
yeah, accountability is huge, and
Mm-hmm.
holding the line. I mean, it's not going to serve them if we're just like kind of giving into their safety. Sometimes, like it has to be sometimes a little pushback, a little
Yeah,
pushback. Yeah.
exactly.
Cool. So finding fertility is supporting women, some people who want to have go into motherhood and shifting their bodies naturally, I assume, so that they
Yes.
can be more nourished in that terrain, but also a spiritual nature, which I don't think you can avoid in Hawaii. Like I've been really a trend I've noticed in my show. I've been actually starting to put in the marketing for the show, like where people are coming from when they tune in, because I think that land and where you're based really dictates how your practice evolves and really just showcases. So for those who haven't been to Hawaii, it is like a spiritual place. Like the lava is flowing under your feet. There's like a lot of stuff going on energetically, and all you have access to like some of the most amazing produce all year, pineapple, fresh fruit, fresh turmeric, like things that are just so vital. I'm an herbalist as well, so it's
Yeah,
an amazing place.
it is. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because there's like big pitfalls in Hawaii that people don't talk about. And I had never been to Hawaii until I moved here. I actually was in the United Kingdom for 14 years before this, and I grew up in California. Um, And the polarities here are crazy, like the rich and the poor. And it's really at first like finding your way. But yeah, like once you say, like once you start like connecting with the earth and the land around here, and it's the water, like I'm a water sign, so it's yeah, it's been perfect for my entrepreneurship, because even though I was spiritual and obviously I regained my whole health through my fertility issues, entrepreneurship like really slapped me in the face and made me wake up to you know, like inner child work and worthiness and, you know, like all that crazy rabbit hole stuff, because you feel like, well, I'm doing all the groundwork, you know, like I've got the funnel, I've got like 10,000 followers on Instagram, I've got this, I've got that, but it's not equating to sales. And like, that's, you know, not that you're fully in it just to make money, but you want a time value, you know, relationship with what you're doing. And it's like, okay, what's going wrong inside of me? Because obviously I'm projecting out something that's not working. So yeah, it's been a really interesting place to be able to do that.
Yeah, like the whole like applying versus embodying thing. Like,
Mm-hmm. No
and
one talks about that. I think it's getting talked about a lot more now within the last 6 months to a year. And I think TikTok has been a big catalyst, because there is a huge, like, you know, it's just easy to find that stuff now. But when I started, yeah, like if, and it, to be honest, if anyone said to me like, oh, you're gonna get really woo woo, I'm like, no way, I'm just gonna go in, do the business, the masculine stuff, that's all that it takes to make money, right, to build a business. But it's
oh,
been further from the truth for me.
how can it not be personal when it's like you're creating, so you're putting things out there and for others to see, which is like
Mhm.
undeniable truth of entrepreneurship. There's a certain level of asking for visibility component to it. I mean, I think there's definitely like product forward businesses where maybe you're never really have to like be in out in front, but that takes a quite a different kind of personality. Most of the entrepreneurship is literally talking about yourself. So
Yeah.
that's like right there, that energy, like alignment thing. It's quite difficult. So I appreciate you bringing that up. But yeah, let's talk about TikTok. I mean, because I think it's an interesting platform. Now that you're mentioning it, like, yeah. So it sounds like market research could be really well done there, as a coach like yourself. You know, you said that you're able to respond directly to people's questions, which means that there's a certain facilitation of those questions that are happening, which is great, because how else do we know what's going on in our potential clients' heads unless they're or able to get these questions asked?
Yeah, yeah. I just think from a content creation point of view, it makes it so easy. Like I just recorded 20 yesterday of just answering people's questions. And it's like, okay, I have like 2 weeks worth of content that was fun. And I know my audience wants it because they asked for it. So I think it just takes, you know, like the whole slog of, you know, like Instagram and you know, like, what do I have to post, or did that work? Oh, yeah, the metrics. And I've just let go of all that. And it doesn't matter if the TikTok gets, you know, 200, 500 views. It's getting to the right people. The right people are going to find it.
Yeah.
And you know, I've gone viral on TikTok. I've had one hit 3 million views, and it did nothing for my business, like nothing financially. So it's kind of really just settling into a space that you're having fun and you're connecting with your community. And for me, TikTok's just allowed me to do that. I don't know why. And there's some TikToks I won't even post on Instagram. Like I'm like, nope, that content is way too like real, almost like I'm like being really honest and genuine, where sometimes I've done that in the past on Instagram and people have just like, there's just negative, right? They want to play the victim, like, how dare you tell me I'm not infertile? Like, okay, like we're obviously not on the same page. Just unfollow me, please. Like, like don't make this a big deal. So yeah, I love TikTok. I know it gets a lot of stick and it's just changed dramatically. I've been on it for 2 years now, I think. And it's not singing and dancing and lip singing anymore. You know, like you can really just go in and just have conversations with your community.
Yeah, I mean, I'm convinced. I mean, if something is working, we repeat it. If it's not working, don't repeat it. I think the
Mm-hmm.
first step of all of that is optimization, like knowing how each platform can best serve you. And you brought up a really good point about time management. We don't have all this time in the world to be creating content. So it really, if we're solo in this and we're not yet built out into bigger teams yet, I mean, we want to have the most maximum effort, I mean, maximum result for a little effort. So any of those little tricks and stuff like that, I think I'm kind of honing in on this too. It's like when I'm having conversations with people about social media marketing, they're like, well, I know that I convert better in person. I'm like, well, then maybe something like a live video once
Mm-hmm.
is going to be better for you on social media than it is to be creating like and constructing painfully like 30
Yeah.
second videos, or like they're not a video maker. So just show up
Yeah.
and talk because you already know that talking is comfortable for you. So
Mm-hmm.
really starting with the ease and then like feeling where you're comfortable and then trying to step into something that's a little bit more uncomfortable once in a while, just if you feel like it. There should be always this congruency with like your effort and the application in marketing. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's
exactly. And it's all practice. Like I started in stories probably like over 3 years ago when I started my business. And I was so uncomfortable. I don't want to say I was comfortable. I was so uncomfortable and nervous. But what got me through it is it only lasted 24 hours, right? Like it would disappear and no one would see it again. And then obviously doing the podcast weekly and then just keep going with those stories. When TikTok came out, it was still kind of like really nerve-wracking to get up and like speak and know it's going to live there forever. But now, yeah, 3 years into it, you would never know that I was so nervous in the beginning. And I mean, I would even go as far as I wouldn't even put a selfie of myself on my Instagram, 3, 4 years ago. So if you are in that space of like, I could never do that, find ways you can like practice, and like lives are great because if you have a small following, no one's going to show up, and you could just talk and you could just practice, and then you don't have to put it out there,
yeah.
right? Like you can choose to not put it on your feed. TikTok, it just disappears anyways. Like you can't
Can't take
upload it like you can on Instagram. So just get yourself out there is the best advice, and you
yeah,
get better at it.
the content just lives out there, which is what I'm helping people understand too. It's like it's not about the algorithm, it's not about what you think is going to happen. It's just because it's there that it
Mm-hmm.
then create a rebound effect with the people you're talking to in your direct marketing, which is a huge difference. I talked to someone last night and I was like, I'm just on your wall, I'm looking to do a little audit, and I went to your business page because your link is on your timeline. She's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, if it exists, then people can get to it, and that's the key. Like if you're not, if it's stagnant, remove it so people can't get to it, and have them focus on where you want them to go. You have that control. So that's really key. It's like you don't have to be doing all of this stuff. Like you can just do like one or two of the things that are really what motivate you at that moment. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, yeah, that's right, that's how I feel. Okay, then do it. Like that's what you feel like, that's where you're at, and you're getting the most maximum benefit. So what does finding fertility look like in regards to, because you doing any in-person work? Have your people been asking you to do that, or are you mainly online?
No, I'm just online. So all my coaching is via Zoom. So yeah, I mean, I've had some live clients in Hawaii before, and we've met, which is nice, but it's just not necessary. Yeah, so the way I coach is just fine online. I would love, I'm actually speaking next week at a women's event, so I think that type of live communication is a really beneficial. So if anyone can get into communities where they can just speak, and I'm actually not even speaking about fertility, I'm speaking about women's health. So just know that I felt so pigeonholed for a really long time. Like, well, all I can speak about is fertility. But the reality is now, like, I can speak about business. I can speak about being a mom. I can speak about being a woman. So there's lots of different things that you're actually really good at. And just getting yourself out to those different spaces and making those connections, I think I just think it's beneficial to society. It's just like everyone wins.
Absolutely. You become new experts as you build more like wisdom and experience with like your things. And like you shined on earlier, there's different nuances within each of those things as well. Like you're not just talking about motherhood, you're talking about, coming into a new sense of consciousness about motherhood.
Yeah.
Like a whole set of new tools that people might not have been thinking about. So that's really cool. And your online coaching and things like that. So we have a lot of functional medicine people in our community, but like, are there like specific books? I know certain books come up, like what the first 40 days or the first 90 days. Like there's certain books and thinkers on fertility and nutrition that are really have become hot like pedestals. Are there any that we should know about that people might look into to get more breadth to your topics?
No, like all the books that I I would recommend, because the fact is, and every functional medicine person will know this, or in anyone who knows about health, is that you have to focus on your normal and common health before you can even get to fertility. Right? It is fixing your gut, your endocrine system, your thyroid, your mental and emotional. And then once that is working in harmony, your body has time to do the things that you want for fertility, because you don't need fertility to survive. So that's why a lot of people fall off those cliffs. So I love Dr. Ben Lynch's Dirty Genes. I think it's a really good book. I love Rob Wolf's Wired to Eat, I think it's called. I thought that was a really good book. I do have like a ton back here. One of the less known books is The Bulletproof Guy, Dave Asprey. Him and his wife actually wrote a fertility book. It's called The Better Baby Book. It's like extreme. It's like crazy extreme. And I understand why it never got to number one, because it's amazing, and it will definitely get you pregnant, but it's like the next level up, as everyone can imagine, knowing that guy. But yeah, there's been some amazing new writers, new books. There's a really amazing book called Origins, and it actually talks about the first 9 months of pregnancy. And I picked that book up before I qualified and had my first baby. And it's just an amazing book about how pregnancy can shape your future child's life and how important it is. And I think that's just something that is so missed from our society. It's just, people plan more for their weddings than they do for the
That
health of their babies, right?
so true, but the wedding is usually the conduit for the pregnancies. That's
Mm-hmm.
very, very good, valid point. Well, I love this thought leadership, and thank you for sharing some of those books, because we do have a lot of health practitioners in our community, and a lot of times people want to expand on their skills, their expertise, get new certifications, or just expand into new areas that they didn't think about bringing into their practice, or they're doing hybrid practices where they're using a different modality to help with the thing that we're talking about. So that's really exciting. Awesome. Well, I also want to add in a new question to my series, since you are someone who understands plants and nutrition, because I am an herbalist, and I think some of my people would be very interested. What kind of herbs, or is there an herb that you are noticing time and time again you're leaning on in your practice or working with clients?
Oh, this might be really controversial, but pine needle has been a very big one for maybe obvious reasons for some people, maybe not. But yeah, I have recommended pine needle tea a lot lately in my practice to help cope with certain symptoms of injections and COVID and all that. And I've just recently been getting into steaming my own tea. So obviously pine needle, I get it from the mainland, but I've been growing lemongrass in my garden and taking that and making, homemade tea with that. And obviously dandelion root has been like something that we've really brought in. So maybe like really obvious ones, but for many people. They're like, what? You want me to drink what? That's like, don't we kill that with Roundup? I'm like, yeah, that's a problem.
I wanted to ask this question because I think it's important that like I bring myself as much to this as well, and hearing the feedback from other professionals, and it's so awesome to hear like how things are being used in multiple places and in multiple practices. So thank you so much for coming, Monica, and sharing your wisdom today. We crossed a lot of space today, and I'm really excited to introduce you to our community.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.